Hey friends, I've got something really cool for you today. Fairly standard Spanish guitar in terms of the chord progression. We're going to be basing on the Andalusian cadence, which is a classic Spanish progression, A minor, G, F, E. But of course, we're going to make it kind of cool. We're not just going to do it in a boring way. And we're actually going to start off with a chord inspired by Led Zeppelin, the song Babe, I'm Going to Leave You. But before I waffle on anymore, let me play for you for a second. And then let's talk about how we can get you playing something similar and even better. Something like that. I'm just kind of jamming along, but let me show you the bones of what we're doing here. Like I said, the first chord, I mentioned before, A minor, G, F, E, in their most basic form. These chords in flamenco guitar are used in a certain context to make the classic flamenco sound. I like to use them in other contexts because they sound cool. So the A minor chord we're going to use, I believe it's played at the end of the song Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You by Led Zeppelin. And I've used it for many years because I think it sounds cool in a Spanish guitar context. So open A string, 7th fret of the D string, 5th fret of the G string, and then just open B, and open E. So from the A, it's open A, 7, 5, 0, 0. So what a cool chord. In my opinion, that's a great chord. Like I always say, my lessons are not to be learnt note for note. My lessons are just to try and get you started, get the ball rolling, get you inspired. Really, honestly, if I can convince you to pick up your guitar, there's a win here. You know, you might just be sitting at home on your phone doing nothing. We're all guilty of that. If you actually just go and get the guitar, I don't care if you don't do my lesson. Do whatever you want, but I'm just here to get you playing. So, loose suggestion for getting you playing that chord. You notice the pinky finger's free. Whenever I have a free finger, this is a perfect example, nice and free, I'll use that finger. I think that makes us now, we don't want to be too busy all the time. Of course, there's exceptions. Of course, there's times to sit back and kind of do nothing or play less. But in a lesson environment, I'm going to tell you as much as I can, and then we use our musicality to know when not to use what we know. I love to play the notes on the 7th and 8th fret of the high E string with that pinky. Now that's not the easiest thing to do. The pinky is notoriously difficult to control, generally notoriously weak in most players, simply because we don't use it that often. So again, even if I could just convince you to play a cool new chord that you might not know and get some pinky action going, I feel like I've done some good in the world today, the tiniest little bit. So that, I hope you'll agree, is a cool and interesting way to play A minor. That's certainly not just going, which we've done a million times before on this channel. Going to do it a million times more, don't get me wrong, but bit of fun there. Okay, G chord. You could do the usual 6-string bar chord, but again, we're here to do something a bit different. So I've got the high E string ring open. So I'm playing, if you imagine that normal G chord, which is like 3, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3. We're going to take the note off the high and the low string, let them ring open, and we're going to have that. As always, tabs for today's lesson are on my Patreon page, and I thank my Patreons for being bloody champions. So we got that G chord, and then we're just going to do a little lick. It's just 3 0 3 0. It's almost like a minor pentatonic thing, but we're doing it in a totally different context. So that's the G chord. Oh. A lot of fun to be had there. Those kinds of sounds. Then to the F chord. A nice thing to do as well, rather than just go G, F, it's a nice sound to do it chromatically. So G, G flat, F. That's fun. And before on the G, we were doing that like 0 3, 0 3 kind of idea. Cool. Here on the F, it's just 0 1 0 1. Now when I'm playing it, I'm obviously holding the F chord. I'm just moving it and showing it to you without the chord because it's easier to see here on the webcam. And then we hit the E. Now, I kind of wasn't doing this when I demonstrated this, so if you've got a keen eye, you might notice, and I'm just telling you. But what I'll do now, what I did before, when I went from F to E, I fell on habits, and I played the E as a standard chord grip with the pinky finger free. Now, that's fine. I think it sounded okay. It sounded how I meant it to sound. But from this F chord, it's actually an F major 7 chord, because we've got the open strings ringing, so an F chord with an E note in it isn't actually an F major 7, but we can still call it F. You can actually just move back 1 fret, and these 3 fingers all just stay exactly how they were. Now, because this first finger was fretting the first fret, what's 1 string below the first fret? Well, 0, nothing. So it's now unemployed, this finger. It's got nothing to do, but of course, we like to find something for an unused finger to do. See how little movement I have to do to go between F and E or E and F? So I highly recommend developing that technique, even though in the demonstration I did go back to a more traditional 1 2 3 finger E chord. I'm going to leave it at that for now. If you want more, come onto my Patreon page where we do what's called a deep dive, and I will show you a whole bunch of ideas and techniques to develop this idea further. But for now, there's a nice little nugget of music that I hope you can play and I hope you enjoy. Thank you.